So I'm sure by now you've all heard the recent news about Horizon Zero Dawn headed to PC. It hasn't really been confirmed yet, but Jason Schreier of Kotaku is actually a pretty good source. He's the one that leaked it out that Fallout 76 was going to be an online-only game back in 2018. And almost everything is said checked out, so it seems like, yeah, a PlayStation exclusive for the first time is headed to PC. Now, we've kind of seen a little bit going on lately with that before Horizon Zero Dawn. For example, MLB The Show headed to multiple platforms, but that has more to do with the MLB than actually has to do with Sony, because Sony and MLB renegotiated contracts, which pretty much said, MLB actually wants their game to be now multi-platform. Sony can continue to own the studio that makes it, and they could be in charge of all that, but it has to be on multiple platforms now. It needs to be a multi-platform game, which makes sense because sports games are really successful in growing the actual sports brand. It's good marketing, it's good advertising, not only to the sports brands make good money off of the actual games, but the popularity of said games help grow the brand in the long run. So, yeah, it's a good move on MLB, and Sony's still gonna, make a lot of money off of it, so it's not the end of the world for Sony. As far as Horizon Zero Dawn is concerned, this is very interesting because Sony has made recent statements, not like as early as like a month ago, saying that they believe in exclusive content and that exclusive games are very important in the success and growth of the PlayStation brand going forward. That they are not going to have multi-platform games or anything like that, and they will continue to maintain exclusive content, even with PlayStation Now, where you have Microsoft with their Xbox Game Pass, that what they do is that they release pretty much all their exclusives, or all their first-party games, Microsoft, day one on Xbox Game Pass. Sony has said, we are still going to have full $60 releases along with PlayStation Now, and games will eventually come to PlayStation Now, but it's not going to be like day one you're going to be able to play Last of Us 2 if you subscribe to PlayStation Now. They seem to be really trying to invest in their services like PlayStation Now, but they're definitely placing much less of an emphasis on that than Microsoft is with their services. And we'll see how it goes with Horizon Zero Dawn, whether or not it will actually come to PC, because there's a chance that it might not actually happen. Although, like I said, Jason Schreier is a pretty good source, so it's not like I'm in a state of denial or anything, or that I'm even against this personally. This is great. I never played Horizon Zero Dawn before, even after owning a PS4 for all this time. So I'll be able to potentially play it, and I'll have it on higher than 60 frames per second. Never mind 30 frames per second, higher than 60 frames per second at an amazing resolution, better than any console could ever do it, even the PS5. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. But yeah, that's the thing. Since I've been into PC gaming lately, I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering if my stance on exclusives has changed drastically over time. Because remember, over the past few years, I've been pretty vocal about the need to maintain exclusive content, even after I no longer considered myself to be a console fanboy. I still thought that that PC gamers that were quote-unquote port begging, I thought it was pathetic, and that PC gamers should stop begging for games and just go out and get the console if they want the game that badly. But now that I'm kind of on both sides of I know what it's like to be a console gamer, I know what it's like to be a PC gamer, I think now I can have a more balanced opinion than I had ever had previously. So let's talk about exclusives, okay? So every industry, no matter what, every entertainment industry at least, let's just say that. So you think of the TV industry, the movie industry, music industry, exclusive content is the driving force of competition. If everything else is the same, there is no need to have so much competition in the marketplace. In the case of console gaming, there would be no need to have an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo console if they had all the same games anyway. There would literally be no reason for competition. So yeah, exclusive games is a very important factor in maintaining that competitive atmosphere. And if you just have all the games on the same platform, then that's not going to be good. And if you don't believe me, look at Microsoft, the most pro PC console manufacturer, who wants to integrate everything with PC. But you still see a thing where they're putting their games on PC, no problem. But then when it comes to putting their games on the PlayStation, oh no, they're not doing that. So yeah, either way, some type of exclusivity is very important in competition, whether it's limited in the sense of it actually being available on Windows as well, on PC and console, but not being on other consoles, or straight up like being true exclusives, meaning that if you want to play Horizon Zero Dawn, you have to have a PlayStation console and you can't play it on any other type of device. And, I've always been pretty adamant about the maintenance of the current status quo where exclusives are the main way that console manufacturers are able to sell their consoles, and it's good for everybody, because my whole thing was those games wouldn't exist otherwise. They wouldn't have a reason to exist, because at the end of the day, Sony makes their money off of software. They sell their hardware at a loss, and the whole notion of competing through hardware, okay, that's one thing I still think is absolutely absurd, because you have a lot of PC gamers that think that Xbox and PlayStation, instead of competing through exclusives, they should put all their games should be on all platforms, but they should instead compete on hardware. That is a terrible idea, and it should never happen, because the whole point of consoles is, yes, the manufacturers sell at a loss, but at the end of the day, the consumer pays a much cheaper upfront cost because the hardware is cheaper, and they make their money when you buy games for that specific platform. And it's pretty shitty when you buy a console, especially with the Xbox One, how all these games were supposedly only on Xbox, like Halo, Gears of War, Sunset Overdrive, Forza. But all of them eventually made their way to PC. So if you were a PC gamer that bought an Xbox expecting those games to be exclusive to that platform, you were kind of ripped off, weren't you? Or even if you were just any other, if you bought those games, if you bought the console just to play those games, but then it ended up being on other platforms, like, that's kind of a slap in the face. Like, if you bought the Xbox One for exclusive games, you were essentially being hoarded out by Microsoft, and when you weren't useful to them anymore, they moved on to PC, and that's what they're focusing on more than actually giving you a reason to buy their console, which is okay. I mean, some people are more than happy with that, but I know a lot of people who are very disappointed at the same time and feel like they've been screwed over by Microsoft. But going back to the point about exclusives and competition, I mean, you see the streaming services, the streaming wars with Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, and so on and so forth. You would not be able to have all of that competition if there were no shows and movies that were exclusive to a specific platform. Whether you like it or not, that's just the truth. But the thing is about these services is that if there's a show on there, like you just don't like the service anymore, you can easily cancel and then resubscribe the next month or whatever, and subscribe to the new service. Like, it's very accessible. You could do it on any device, essentially, whether it's a game console, a computer, a mobile phone, Roku, whatever it may be. It is incredibly easy to access these services. Like, anybody has access to them. It's at that point, like, because it's on every device imaginable. But the problem that people have specifically with consoles is that it's not very accessible, right? Because let's say that Sony is making some games that you really want to get your hands on, but you have to spend $400, $500 on a brand new console that you otherwise would have no use for, right? Because let's say you want to build a gaming PC, right? Like, when I got my gaming PC, my whole rationale wasn't just, I get to play games at a higher frame rate and higher resolution, and I just have another way to play my video games. No, it was like, okay, yeah, I can play my games, but I can also do homework, I can also edit videos, I can also do so many different things on my new PC that I couldn't really do on my old 7-year-old laptop that was breaking down on me. So I had to get a new computer, but I figured I might as well also get a gaming computer to do everything on one device. That's the thing. Convenience. Being able to do everything on one device and having an actual purpose for that device other than just one specific thing. So, for example, right, computers, like I said, can do a multitude of different tasks. Smartphones, you can do a multitude of different tasks on the go while you're traveling. Maybe you're commuting to work, maybe you're in school, maybe you're on a lunch break, and you have that phone. You can make phone calls, you can text people, but you can also do some shopping, check on social media, do emails, and all these different things that are pretty important that you can do now at your fingertips. So there's a point in having that. And Roku and Smart TV, you can have apps on your TV without having to have a $400 console, right? So here's the point I'm trying to make. What can a console do that any other device cannot do. Like, the thing that specifically a console can't do. So smartphones specifically are very portable. I mean, they're the most portable device you can ever have. And then desktop computers and even laptops are able to perform much more complex tasks because you have so much more power in those devices than the smartphones, but still smartphones have their value. And the Roku devices and the smart TVs, that's if you want to watch stuff on your television screen. It's pretty self-explanatory, and they're very cheap. And now the cable companies, when I got my new cable installed the other week, they run it through Roku now. It used to just be like you had to run the cables through a cable line and through that, but now the cable line and the internet line are like the same line because the cable actually runs through the internet. Like, that's becoming the new cable industry standard, which I think is actually pretty cool. But to avoid getting redundant here, let me get to the point. What is the purpose of having a console besides being able to play a select few games that are locked to that platform just for you to buy the console? And that's what they want. They want you to have the console, but that's really the only reason why you would have it, because it's not the best way to play games. PC is the best way to play games. There's nothing the console can do that's better or more sufficient than any other platform. That's literally a console's purpose, is to play video games first and foremost. And yeah, at the same time, if you get rid of exclusives, you pretty much get rid of the point for consoles, right? So should console exclusives come to the PC? It's a tough one because I can't really think of another business model that's very sustainable in terms of maintaining competition besides having different hardware and having that competition with exclusives. And getting rid of consoles just doesn't seem like a feasible thing to ever happen, especially with the alternative being streaming services or other services like Game Pass being the alternative to that, which is even worse than what we have going on right now. So, yeah, let's hope that's not the future of gaming. That's definitely not sustainable. But if I had to make a guess, I mean, these consoles continue to sell. As long as they keep selling, Nintendo and Sony are going to keep having exclusive content. Look, I think what they're doing with Horizon Zero Dawn, and we still don't really have like an exact confirmation, remember that, Sony hasn't exactly confirmed it yet, or Guerrilla Games are nobody official. It's just a rumor or a leak, whatever you want to call it, but still don't have that official confirmation. But okay, let's say it's coming, because it's more than likely than not, it's coming on PC, Horizon Zero Dawn, right? It seems like Sony might just be doing this thing now where they want to sell games at the end of the life cycle of their console to hype up the next generation. I mean, that seems like a likely thing. So then Horizon 2 comes out only on PS5, but PC gamers got a taste of the first Horizon. They want to be able to play that next game, but they can't. So maybe Sony is that's their strategy here, and all the fanboys that are crying, Sony might actually be doing them a solid because they're gonna try to give PC gamers a reason to buy their console. Like, give them a little taste, but don't give them everything, kind of thing. That's probably what Sony's doing, I would say. Who knows though? I'm not an insider. I'm not. I don't know exactly what their mindset is, but that's just an educated guess. I could be completely wrong, but either way, I don't see Sony just going full-blown, all our games are coming to PC, like Microsoft is doing over the next generation. I don't see that happening. So, yeah, don't expect all PlayStation games to come on PC anytime in the near future. I just don't see that happening. I think the entire console ecosystem would have to collapse before Sony would do anything like that. And I think Sony is going to do everything they can to win people over to the PlayStation 5, because the PlayStation is really like the most profitable thing Sony's got going on right now. So they don't want to shake things up too much. Definitely not. But we'll see how things go in the future. But I personally would love to be able to play all my games on one platform. This game right here, Destiny 2, for example. I mean, it's the best on PC. Every console game would be so much better on PC, without a doubt. But am I being too wishful to hope for something like that to happen? I probably am. And again, I don't hold it against Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo for having exclusive content. I think, at the end of the day, it is kind of a necessary thing that you need to have in order for your platform to be sustainable and for the entire gaming market to be sustainable. Because without without exclusives, what is your competition? That's the thing. What is the competition without exclusives? And, if there was just one console, because there was no exclusives, there would only be one console, and at that point, it really wouldn't look good for gaming, I don't think. So, it's a double-edged sword, definitely. There's certain games that I will never be able to play, or maybe I'll be able to play them eventually. Just maybe Sony will put their games on PC, like when the PlayStation 6 comes out, put their PS5 games on the PC to try to get you to buy a PS6. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but I want to know what the rest of you think about exclusives, especially console exclusives, whether or not they should eventually make their way to the PC. And don't just say, well, I want to be able to play them. Yeah, I mean, sure, but let's just be a little bit less idealistic and more realistic about how such a system of no exclusives could actually realistically work out in the gaming industry, because I would love something like that to happen, but what's holding me back from being fully on board with something like that is whether or not it's actually realistically sustainable in the long term. But I've said my piece. Now I want to hear from the rest of you, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.